Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. A few days ago, we were all at Zoo Atlanta spending an afternoon, and there was two different incidents where children were lost and people showed up trying to find their parents. The first one was up around the Elephant House, and this woman had this little boy, and she was just asking, "We need to find this child's parents. He's lost." And so we didn't think much about it, and then me and Heather was sitting down at the food court. We were eating, and this other lady comes walking up with the little boy, and she's about 5 years old, and said, "This little boy's lost. I'm trying to find his mom or dad." And Heather made the comment. Heather's like, "Why don't these people watch these children better? You know, it's really odd to lose a child." And so anyhow, this other lady said, "Oh, I know him. I know his mom, and come and get him by the hand." And Heather got all concerned. She said, "Well, who knows if that woman knows that boy? And who knows if I wouldn't just pass that child off to somebody unless I knew for a fact it was their mom or dad." And so with all of us, when we'd had children, even now with Savannah and Chance is up, 8, 9 years old now, so not so much. But when they were 3 or 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, you'd be at Disney World or at the mall or at Walmart or something. I took Savannah and Chance shopping at Walmart one afternoon when they were like 5 years old. I told her, "Mom, I'll never do that again. Never do that again." I was so weirded out. I'm like, "Oh, wait, where'd you go?" Because you want to keep your eyes on your child all the time. You know that bad things can happen, and people will steal your child. But anyhow, here's the point I'm trying to make. Parents, one of their worst fears that a parent could do is be somewhere and lose their child. Listen to this, lose their child. So I want to tie this into the failure of Christianity. We've heard a lot of talk the last year or so about systemic racism, how it's kind of baked into our system, our societies. It's systemic. I've thought about that along the lines of systemic Christianity. At its core, at its root, there's so many things that's wrong with it. And if you hear this, you won't hear me say there's anything wrong with Christ. There's nothing wrong with God. There's nothing wrong with what Christ came to do on earth. But the system that followed that, the umbrella of Christianity, is kind of rotted to the core. And the very teachings of it teaches that Jesus actually was a failure. And now hear me out. When I'm sitting and talking to people that are deep in the church, and they tell me that there's many more people that will die lost than will die saved, that many more people will go to hell than will go to heaven. If you just take that in itself, it means that Jesus failed on the cross. He came to save the world. In their mind, he didn't save the world. He saved a handful. He saved a very few. It's a failure, systemic failure. So I want to bring this point into the zoo about losing a child. Now, I'm not going to quote scriptures and debate scriptures because I'm at a point in life where all that stuff. I will tell you this: any scripture you want to quote me, if I want to take the opposing side, there's an opposite to everything that's a positive in the Bible. You can whatever you want to quote. If I wanted to be adversarial, I'd be like, well, it says exactly the opposite in Jeremiah 3:10 or something. You can just debate can never end. It's kind of foolishness. God is bigger than the Bible. God is bigger than Paul. God is bigger than Peter. God is bigger than John the Revelator. God is universal. These were just ordinary men with flaws and imperfections, just like me, you and I. So I want to take this premise, though, of a parent that loses its child. Most of the time, they're careless. If I lose one of my grandchildren or my children, the first thought I have about myself is I should have watched them better. I should have kept my eye on them better. So the first off, it's a failure. God is not a failure. If there was this perceived lake of eternal fire, and somebody, because we're all children of God, we were all with God in the beginning, we've always, we're God's children. Religion and Christianity will teach you that the Muslims are not his children, the Hindus are not his children, the people down the street that's gay is not his children. Only those that are sanctified are his children. But I'm telling you, that's a lie. All people are God's people. All people are his. He is the creator of all mankind, not just the little sect in Conyers or a little sect out here in Austell. But if somebody did supposedly wind up in this lake of fire, God lost his child. He is a bad God. A bad God. If more people wind up being lost than being saved, Jesus was a failure on the cross, because he didn't accomplish what he said that he came to do, which was to save the world from their sins. When he said it was finished, it wasn't finished. There's millions and billions and trillions of people over millennial that wind up burning in a lake of fire. I'm telling you, the systemic teachings of Christianity is rotted to the core. If a child is lost, and that's the whole premise of Christianity, that people are lost. God came to save people. We find God and we're safe in the fold, But Jesus said that, of the 99, the good shepherd, if one of the sheep wander off somewhere, the good shepherd will leave the 99 and go find the one sheep that wandered away and got lost. Referring to God. If God don't go after that one sheep that wandered away and is lost, God's not a good God. God hitting the bottle, something. The whole system. Let me just say this for those of you who might watch this little 10-minute video. I love the Lord. It's a mockery and a shame what religious Christianity teachings have done to the name of Christ. It's a mockery and a shame to believe that they've made Christ out to be unmerciful, unloving, respecter of persons, a tormentor that created a lake of fire to put his creation in and to torment them. They've made Christ out to be that. Now, they will try to make all kind of excuses around that teaching about, Christ doesn't do that. You do that to yourself. Just think about this. When that little boy that was 5 years old that looked fearful, that had lost his mom at Zoo Atlanta, who among you would say, that's that child's fault? He's the one that wandered off. He's the one that got lost. As if the mom and dad had no responsibility to find that child and to bring him into safety. So anyhow, that's my Wednesday evening thought on Christianity. Let me just end by saying this in the last minute. In God there is only love, joy, peace, mercy, long suffering. God is something we all hold on to in our own way. But you're not lost. You were never lost. You will never be lost. You were saved before the foundations of the earth came into existence. You were with God in the beginning. You will be with God in the end. And all this other umbrella of systemic rottenness in the teachings of a lot of denominational Christianities, it's not God. It's not God. Bye.